at now, what we can improve further. And then I would like to talk about integration of the solutions. Basically, all the solution has the pro and cons. So how we want to integrate together to bring the most value out of the byproducts, and then conclusion and how we want to move forward. So we go first with the introduction. So basically, as per previous speakers also mentioned, in terms of product being produced from our industry, every year is going up, except for last year a little bit going down because of pandemic. So whenever we have increment of the palm product being produced, we also have increment of the byproduct being produced. So it's very prudent for us to make sure that we produce the product so-called sustainably and also responsible by managing the byproduct properly and in a good manner. So what are the byproducts that we have in the palm oil mill? So basically, the first one will be the empty fruit bunch, about 22% to FFB. We have fiber, we have shell, we have the palm oil meal effluent. This is the most notorious so-called culprit that bring the not a good so-called image to the palm oil, with the color, with all the odors, and also in terms of the land area usage. And then the last one we have about the decanter cake. So all in all, estimated about 106% to FFB of total byproducts. In the sense that if we process 100 ton of fresh fruit bunches, we're going to produce about 106 ton byproducts. So there's a lot of byproducts that we need to really manage properly. So what we currently have for palm oil meal effluent, for POME, basically we treat down to BOD 20 milligram per liter. That's the most stringent that we had in Malaysia, mostly in Sabah and Sarawak. In Peninsular Malaysia, for those that have the water course discharge nearby to water intake for the domestic water treatment plant. And then we also mainly use it for land irrigation. So we treat it down to BOD 20 milligram per liter, and then we use it for land irrigation. For the decanter cake, majority of our meals, we dump it in the estate. Some of it, fortunately, we are able to sell it as animal feed at very low cost. In terms of EFP, the majority, of course, mulching is quite straightforward. We use it to soil condition in the estate, and then the other one is composting, like the first speaker talked about. And then for fiber, we have using it for fuel. Fiber, not much issue because we 100% use it for fuel. So in terms of management, it's quite straightforward. For shell, we try as much as possible to sell it to the market. There's a very big demand for it. If we have less fuel, then we're going to use it as a fuel in the boiler. But as much as possible, we want to use it. We want to sell it to the market. In terms of potential for improvement, the previous management that we had is already good enough. But of course, we do not stop there. We need to see where we can improve further. For POME, the issue will be on the huge land area. Even if we are having biogas, in order for us to go forward to BOD 20, we need to have a huge area for the aerobic process and then polishing plant. We're still producing methane for those that do not have biogas plant. And then odor is a big issue as well. But even if we already managed to get to BOD 20 milligram per liter, we still have that brownish color that we do not able to remove it using biological process unless if you go very long retention time, maybe about 300 days. Currently, we are having about 100 days. So the issue with the brownish color is towards the public, because for public, as long as it's not colorless, it's contaminated, even though we already achieved BOD 20 milligram per liter. So that's the issue that we can improve further for our POME. For decanter cake and also for EFB, basically it's a matter of we do not fully utilize the nutrient inside there and also the potential. Dumping, of course, for decanter cake doesn't really do much as to utilize the nutrient. Even if we can sell it for animal feed, the cost is the revenue we gain from it is very minimal. We just don't have issue to manage it, but the revenue is very minimal. For EFB mulching, similar, we do not fully utilize the nutrient. Compost is a good product, is a good process whereby we can increase the value of the EFB. However, the leachate, so we need to further treat and we need to find a better way to really treat it. So all in all of the policy before, we have something that we can improve. And then what we can see is instead of we treat it as a single problem, one by one, we try to so-called manage it. We need to find some solution whereby we can combine it, become an integrated solution, and then we can fully maximize their potential. So how we want to do about that? So basically over here, I'm putting up in terms of the list of issues, as I mentioned before, and how we can address this. For POME-related issues, mainly we can, if we do not have biogas, then we go towards methane avoidance route, meaning to say that bypassing anaerobic process altogether. There's a bit of debate in terms of biogas, whether we want to do it or not. Yes, if we do it biogas, we can gain the energy out of it. But at the same time, we have a huge capex that we need to invest. So it's just a commercial call, whether you want to go towards biogas, you have the energy, but you need to spend on capex, or a very huge capex, or you want to go towards methane avoidance route. But methane avoidance route is not really popular. You need to really to have look the process that you want to go. And then the so-called the ultimate goal, if we can have a very small system, a zero pointing system, whereby we everything is inside a complex. So we do not have a huge land area being used for the treatment. And the holy grail of it, of course, if we can produce a colorless water, comply with standard A. So standard A here, I'm referring to the IETS, the industrial effluent. Basically, we have that color ADMI below 100, COD below 80, and also BOD below 20 milligram per liter. So we can achieve this. Basically, we have eliminated the issues that we had with the POME. And then for the EFB, basically we need to find a solution how we can manage the solid byproduct together with EFB. How we want to combine together so that we can have a good solution. For EFB, between mulching and compost, of course, compost will bring more value, but we need to make sure that the compost system that we propose, that we want to do it, we have proper mitigation in terms of POME and leachate, how we want to handle that and how we want to so-called treat that one to achieve to the requirement BOD 20 milligram per liter. So if you look up here, all of it in terms of solid management, basically we know how we want to do it. One of the integrated solution, but the main issue will be on the POME. If you do compost, you can take up decanticate, you can take up any solid waste solid byproduct that have the nutrient value, put it together, you have the compost. However, leachate and how we want to, the remaining of POME, how we want to treat so that you can escape all the issues that I mentioned before. So what we did at SIMDABI, basically we look up a lot of technologies available in the market. The first one we look up is in terms of membrane preparation, UF, NF. So issues on the fouling and also on reject water, how we want to handle on that. Coarse particle removal, we basically a screen process. Some of them may already have it to remove fiber, but in terms of the maintenance of the equipment, it's very difficult, it's laborious. And then in terms of reduction to BOD also is very minimal for the coarse particle removal. And then little bit advanced in terms of coagulation and flocculation. This is good process, but of course it comes with the cost of polymer itself. And then BOD you can reduce down to 50 milligram per liter. In terms, the next one will be the adsorption process. So for adsorption process, you're going to have issues in terms of the how you want to dispose, for example, activated carbon, and then it's easily being exhausted. So you need to think about replacing. So you have continuous cost, as well as we need to think about how we want to dispose it as a scheduled waste. A bit in terms of the variation for membrane filtration is reverse osmosis. This is a surefire way in terms of how you can remove color from pomade, but reverse osmosis, they have issues in terms of organic fouling. Pomade is very high in terms of organic loading. Then there's also issue in terms of reject water. Normally, the best that you can achieve is 70% water recovery for the reverse osmosis. You still need to think about how you want to manage that 30%. So it's not really total solution. Evaporation, some of the companies is proposing this evaporation. Yes, you can so-called produce the colorless water. You can get zero ponding system, but the issue will be on the very high steam consumption. In fact, certain mills, you need to have a new boiler for that. So a little bit in terms of the feasibility. Advanced oxidation process, for example, Fenton process. So all of that is good. You can get to the end product, what we want to have, colorless, and also in terms of quality. But most of the advanced oxidation that we are using a hazardous chemical. So chemical handling, how we want to make sure the system behave as per what we want. And then ion exchange, we have tested this one before, so we can get to the quality that we want, but we still have a lot of reject water. Up to 50% of it that we need to think about how we want to handle. Then last but not least, in terms of a variation of advanced oxidation, we have electro-oxidation. So this is a relatively new technology in wastewater, but when we review everything, that one is having the most potential that we believe that we can develop further and then suitable for pomade. So that's the technology that we choose, and then we develop together with the technology provider to tailor-made to the pomade. So what we have now, basically a fully integrated solution to handle in terms of solid waste management, as well as the liquid side of it. So we have the cooling pond. Cooling pond is necessary. We cannot eliminate because of we want to reduce the temperature, as well as this will be the last so-called area for us to make sure the oil is not carried over to the next process. Because if oil carry over to your compost or to your ETP anaerobic process, it will impede the process. So the next one is the empty fruit bunch and also the decanter cake. We can still feed in boiler ash to get the potash inside there. So everything is being processed inside the composting plant. So there's no so-called do or right in terms of composting plant, like the first speaker mentioned. You can go with forced aeration, you can go with mechanical turning. So there's no so-called rule of thumb for that yet. But with composting plant, you can integrate all of it. The difference is normally composting plant, as much as you can receive pomade, normally you can go up to 0.4 to FFB only. Whereas for cooling pond, you can you can produce up to 0.7 pomade. So what happens is you still have leachate about 45% to 50%. So we talk about compost first. So basically the product for composting plant, of course, compost. So in terms of nutrient value, roughly about 1.5 nitrogen inside there. And then with all the moisture being evaporated, everything, then we're talking about ratio reduced to 18% to FFB. And then this is where the so-called the key to make sure that we can handle pomade in a holistic manner. So the electro-oxidation is, like I mentioned before, we develop further. Then this is the one of the pattern that we have for the polishing system. So out of 100% pomade, when it goes to over here, due to the thermophilic nature of the process in the beginning of the compost stage, all of it is already being evaporated. So the balance from 100% pomade, we about 45% pomade will go to electro-oxidation. So over here, using the electrochemistry. So you're going to produce a very strong oxidation inside the water by introducing the electrolyte and current, of course. So from there, we can reduce from this color of very dark brown color of pomade down to the colorless of water. So we can go to produce colorless water with COD below than 20 milligram per liter. But there will be overkill when we design, we design to achieve around 50 to 60 milligram per liter COD. So with all this combination, with composting plus the electro oxidation, we managed to have a complete solution. This is one of the integrated solution that we are thinking of. We have several others that potentially can be re-evaluated together with this one. But as of now, the prominent one is this one. Okay, so with that process flow, we managed to get zero ponding system because this is a methane avoidance. We do not have the anaerobic process, and also we do not have aerobic process. Since we do not have anaerobic, we also eliminate the odor, and then we have a colorless discharge. So we tackle on in terms of public perception towards the palm oil industry, and then we also integrate other byproducts, the EFB, the decanter cake, and potentially the boiler ash. And of course, we maximize the potential in terms of the nutrient value inside there, so we can recover that. So with that, as a conclusion, we can say that composting can integrate all the solid byproducts into one single management inside one compound. And then together with electro-oxidation, this one will address in terms of liquid byproduct. And all of this, we can bring the so-called the byproduct, we manage optimally and bring the best value to the mill. Moving forward, to recap, we already identified the problem that we had. And then we brainstorm what is the potential solution. We already do the integration. We select the best of the solution. So what's next will be how we want to materialize that and also implement at the mill. Compost plant is so-called is a norm in palm oil mill. A lot of people is doing that now, but how we want to integrate and then eliminate the issues of the liquid side of it. And also, of course, compost, we haven't go through in depth in terms of the best operation yet. That one also is still in evaluation. But in terms of process flow wise, compost plus electro-oxidation has the high potential to eliminate the issue of the byproducts contamination and lift our image towards the so-called the public, saying that we are no longer producing this kind of waste. We are managing well our byproduct. We do not pollute the environment anymore. So with that, I would like to end my presentation and open up to the Q&A.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Nick Farid. Unfortunately, I don't have much time because you run over. So, but I can allow one question. If there's any burning question, we can ask. He gave a very good presentation, and it's beyond me because I'm a biologist, so I can't ask any question. But if there is anyone in the audience who have a burning question, please ask. Okay, Mr. Nick Farid, it looks like no questions for you. Thank you so much for your excellent presentation. Okay. Okay, next Next we will move on to the next presenter, invited speaker, Dr. Wan Zuraida binti Wan Mohammad Zain. Dr. Wan Zuraida is a senior lecturer at the Faculty of Plantation and Agro-Technology, University Technology Mara at the Jasin campus. Dr. Wan Zuraida received a PhD in Natural Product Chemistry from UiTM Shah Alam. She's a reviewer for several reputable journals in chemistry and agriculture. She's a member of the Malaysian Natural Products Society, National STEM Association, and the Malaysian Board of Technologists. She has numerous publications in index journals and has won several innovation awards. Her main research interests are in the area of chemical and biological activities of natural products from plant waste material, focusing particularly on flavonoids and resveratrol towards antioxidant, antimicrobial for development of pesticides. So let's welcome Dr. Wan Zuraida to give a talk on phytochemistry and biological activities from Malaysian plant waste material.
Okay, thank you very much for Mrs. Chairman for the kind introduction about myself. Okay, my name is Wan Zuraida Ahmad Zain. This is my research team. Okay, so today I would like to present my research work, which is entitled Phytochemistry and Biological Activities from Malaysian Plant Waste Material. Okay, I'm a senior lecturer at Biotech Department, Faculty for Plantation and Agro Technology at Melaka, and I'm also fellow of research and publication for pre-higher education program at UiTM Shah Alam Selangor. Okay, for the introduction, okay, Malaysia is known as one of the 12 mega biodiversity countries that offer a numerous researchers in the quest of a novel natural compound discovery. So from this figure, we can see that the production of the natural product from the cell, tissue, and secretion of microorganisms, plant and animals. Humans have been using the potent action of natural product for multiple purposes, from medicinal to cosmetic, and also as well as in agriculture. So in the market, we can see a lot of organic pesticides have been marketed. Okay, natural product chemistry is at the intersection of many fields. So here we can see the field from pharmaceutical science, biochemistry, biotech, and up to entomology. So in this regard, participation of researchers phytochemists is very crucial for the drug discovery process. Okay, natural product, or sometimes we call it as a metabolite, can be classified into two groups. First is primary metabolite. Primary metabolite is involved in normal growth, development, and reproduction. For example, amino acid can produce protein, fatty acid can produce lipid, sugar residues can produce glycerol, monosaccharides. Whereas secondary metabolites is a metabolite which not directly and it's a derivative from primary metabolite. For example, we have compound type of alkaloid. The building block is nitrogen, and example is nicotine. And then we also have compound type of phenylpropanoid. The building block is phenylalanine, and the example is lamic acid. Okay, pesticide from natural product. Okay, here for in sustainable of agriculture, natural product can play as a vital role as a herbicide. So herbicide is a class of pesticide which is used to kill nuisance plants such as weed and grasses. Okay. Next, it also play a role of fungicide. For example, for treatment of damping of disease because of the fungus like Rhizoctonia solani, Fusarium species, Pythium, and also Phytophthora. Okay. The example, we have a group of coumarin, for example, scopoletin, which are used to protect the fungus. Okay. Next, it also can be used as insecticide. For example, we have a compound organosulfur, which present in garlic acid. Next, for insecticide, we have a compound like nicotine, which isolate from the Nicotiana rustica, which is wild tobacco. Okay, nicotine is an alkaloid, which are natural insecticide that act as anti-herbivore chemical. Okay, next, it also play a role as a in application of crop management. For example, the production of the juvenile. Juvenile is the organic compound similar to juvenile hormone, and it inhibits metamorphosis process. And lastly, for the crop protection, for example, the production of the phytoids, which is a synthetic compound similar to natural ferritin, which isolate from the chrysanthemum plant. Okay, this compound have been used as a commercial and household insecticide. So in this presentation, we will discuss on few examples on our previous and current work, in particular focusing on plant waste material from Dipterocarpaceae, Cyperaceae, Moraceae, and Vitaceae family. So this part, which normally discard and known as wild plant in industry, interestingly, it carries an ability to produce various natural compounds which possesses powerful in antioxidant, antimicrobial, and insecticidal activity. So this finding can be used to produce commercial phytochemical natural control in order to be used in plantation and enhancing environmental sustainability through green growth. Okay, the first study we study on the family of Dipterocarpaceae. The family Dipterocarpaceae, locally known as a pokok kayu balak, sometimes people known as a meranti for Shoria, keruing for Dipterocarpus, kapur for Dryobalanops, and also Mersawa for Anisoptera. Okay. In Malaysia, the distribution of this family, it has 14 genera and about 246 species. Traditional uses, it can be used for treatment of hysteria, ulcer, skin disease, rheumatism, and also tuberculosis. And also, this plant have been used for the application of wood for furniture, building construction. The resin can be used for varnish, paint. The camphor can be used for the toothpaste powder. And then the compound, the main compound from this family is a resveratrol, have been used for the food supplement, for example, in the form of cream, tablet, and juices. Okay, as I mentioned before, as I mentioned in the previous slide, it have 14 genera and about 246 species in Malaysia. Okay, so in this study, we have covered 4 genus in this family, which is Dipterocarpus, Dipterobalanops, Copia, and Vatica. And from this research, we have secured 3 grants, which 2 FRGS grant and also 1 internal grant. Okay. And we have nominated as the best project for the FRGS in 2008. Okay, so these are the characteristics of the Dipterocarpaceae. It have large trees with the resinous bark. So this resinous bark have a great value in medicinal properties. So these are the chemical constituents in Dipterocarpaceae. We have resveratrol oligomers, phenolic acid derivative, terpene, flavonoid, and also erythropanoid derivative. Okay, so problem statement in the study. The main compound of Dipterocarpaceae is resveratrol. Resveratrol are commonly found in edible food and beverages such as mulberries, peanuts, and grape family. However, lack of research and ongoing information about the Dipterocarpaceae. So resveratrol derivative has many potential in biological application, but limited study on the pesticide approach. The stem bark of the Dipterocarpaceae is byproduct of timber industry and often wasted. So waste product of timber industry may contain valuable resveratrol derivative for the study of their pesticide potential. And number 4, the Malaysian Red List of Peninsular Malaysia, the Dipterocarpaceae, have reported these species are categorized as endangered species. So this present study may provide new sources of resveratrol derivative for further pharmacological evaluation from the Dipterocarpaceae. So these are the example of the resveratrol have been marketed in the market. Okay, so these are the distribution of flavonoid in the Dipterocarpaceae. So interestingly, no isolation work have been done on flavonoid. Only phytochemical screening to detect the occurrence of this metabolite. The flavonoid is very important since it used the solve problem of plant identification where flowering and fruit development does not occur. Okay. Processing tropical timbers, what is waste and how much? Okay, from the logging residues, we can see the residues from the logging operations, and then for the industrial waste, it comes from the logging transportation, and then log yard operation, and also from the primary processing. Okay. This is our general research methodology. Normally, we have 4 objectives. The first objective we will do on the extraction, purification and isolation of the compound. We will use the variety of the chromatography technique to get the pure compound. Then after we get the pure compound, we will do on the biological activities, which in this study we cover on the antioxidant and the antimicrobial activity. And then the third objective we do on the structure determination. Okay, we use the instrument like UV, FTIR, NMR, 1D, 2D, and also mass spec. And the fourth objective, we will analyze the chemotaxonomy of the compound we isolated. This is the TLC chromatography. So here from the 15 fraction, we managed to isolate pure compound. So in this TLC, we managed to isolate 9 compounds. So in our finding for genus Dipterocarpus, we managed to isolate 21 isolated compounds. So 3 of these compounds are flavonoid, and this is a new compound. Okay, so this is the structure of the isolated compounds. So the one I highlighted here is a new in genus and also a new compound. Okay, how we determine our structure? Okay, first we determine by using the UV. So UV to check the wavelength of the signature of the compound. IR to see the functional group of the compound. Okay, then we measure on the mass spectrometry. Okay, we use LCMS, and then from the mass spec, we predict for the ion fragmentation of the compound. Okay, so this is the proton NMR. So we run on the 1D NMR and 2D NMR. Okay, next, this is the carbon NMR. So here we run on experiment of APT. So APT, we can see the splitting of the carbon up and down. So from the experiment, we can differentiate the carbon, the type of the carbon. Okay, this is the 2D NMR. So this is the HMQC experiment. So HMQC to see the correlation between the proton and carbon in the space. And then we run on the HMBC. HMBC is the long range, the proton and carbon in a long range correlation. And next, this is the COSY correlation. So COSY correlation is between the correlation between proton and proton in one space. So we have present our work on the chemical structure to 3 international conference, 1 in Turkey and 2 conference in Switzerland. And the article have been published in special issue in the Planta Medica journal. Okay, next, we do on the second objective, biological activity. We run on the antimicrobial and antioxidant. So for the antifungal, we test on the fungus, the pathogen of vegetable, and then we run on the MIC and MFC, and then we proceed to the germination assay. Okay, so previously, currently, we have published our work in one of the Scopus journal on this antifungal work. Okay, this is the antifungal result. So from the result, it shows that there are significant result on the inhibited fungus, which more than 50% of the growth compared to the standard use, 30% inhibition growth, while no significant result on AO, Aspergillus, and also Rhizoctonia. Okay. Next, we run on the MIC and MFC. Again, it showed the significant result compared to the amphotericin B standard use. Okay. Next, this germination assay of the Fusarium oxysporum. So in general, we can see the germination process decrease with the increasing value of sample concentration. And the one I circle here, we can see the complete inhibition for the germination assay, for the crude, for the resveratrol type of monomer and dimer, tetramer, and also the terpene phenolic. Then we run on the antioxidant activity. Okay, so from this work we have published 3 Scopus journal on the antioxidant. Okay, next. Okay, next, we run on the compound. So from the compound, out of 11 compound tested, 6 compound have IC50. Okay, this is the chemotaxonomy study. So the chemotaxonomy study show that classification significantly show that Dipterocarpus share many isolated compound as similar to Batica, and chemotaxonomy of Dipterocarpus and Batica are closely related to each other. Thus, it predicted Dipterocarpus will produce octamer like Batica. Okay, the second research we study on the wild plant, which is wheat. So normally, in generally, we use the same method like the Dipterocarpaceae, but we do on the bioassay guided. We run on the bioassay first, and then we do on the fractionation and isolation compound. From this research, we secured another 2 FIGS grant, and this project is still under progress. So for phytochemical screening and antioxidant activity, from these findings, it shows that when we do comparison antioxidant activity between the Cyperus rotundus have been studied and showed many biological activities, while the one we studied, Febrilitalis miliaceae, is not studied, and it showed the significant data of the Febrilitalis miliaceae. Okay, so in this study, we have published 2 review journals for the insecticidal activity. And then we run on the insecticidal activity. Here we have insect rearing. And then we test on the fumigation activity using the desiccator. Repellent test, we use on the candles and the spray. And then we use the anti-fident test using the coated rice. So
Dr. Wan Zuraida, you only have 1 minute left.
Okay. Okay, for the result activity, it shows it have significant result. Okay, then next we our third research on the antimicrobial study on stem bark of Moraceae. So this is the continuous project from the our expedition project for the Polycinium and our forest reserve. So we managed to publish 2 profitable books, and from this expedition we detect two prospect species to study on the antimicrobial activity. So this project we secured 1 FIGS grant. So again, this activity showed the methanol extract of the extract very potential for the development of the antimicrobial activity. And next we study the waste from grape. Okay, so this is the family Moraceae. Okay, from the finding, it shows that grape are popular exotic fruit. However, interestingly, if planted in cold country, it only bears fruit in 1 season. However, if it is planted in Malaysia, it will bear fruit more than 3 times. And from the table, we can see China has lead compared to the USA. So this is the price list of grape seedling. Okay, so our project partner is Amanda Putri Garden, our industry partner, and then we have been supervised by one of the Prof Emeritus in UKM, and this is our ongoing project on this research. These are the innovation that we have produced. Okay, so before I end my speech, I would like to introduce my faculty. Okay, so this is our faculty. We have 7 areas of expertise. We have plantation management, agribusiness, crop science, soil science, and also crop protection. And lastly, this is my research group. Okay, this is Aurin, we are at Puncak Alam. And then my collaboration is ITB Bandung, Indonesia. Next, UKM. This is my major pharmaceutical city, IBS UPM, and also our industry partner, Amanda Putri Garden, and also now we are developing our own pesticide, and we are collaborating with one of the industry. The company name is Bubbles. With that, I end my speech with thank you.
Okay, Thank you, Dr. Wan Zuraida. I'm sorry, but we won't have time for many questions, but if there's anyone with one or two burning questions, we can try to give some time. Okay, if there's no questions, it leaves me to thank you, Dr. Wan Zuraida, for such a good presentation. Okay, hope to see you in future conferences. Okay, so our final speaker for this session is Dr. Muhammad Rakib Muhammad Rashid. I'm sorry, I didn't get a full bio data from you, so I'm just going to read out what I know from the topic. Dr. Muhammad Rakib is a senior lecturer and head of crop production program at the Faculty of Sustainable Agriculture from the University Malaysia Sabah, Sandakan, Malaysia. So let's welcome Dr. Muhammad Rakib to give his talk on oil palm empty fruit bunch as ruminant feedstuff and substrates for mushroom cultivation. Dr. Rakib.
Okay. Give me a minute. Okay. Good morning and Assalamualaikum and good morning. Thanks to the organizer for this wonderful seminar or conference. Okay, my name is Muhammad Rakib bin Muhammad Rashid from the Faculty of Sustainable Agriculture, UMS. And this morning I'm going to present this just a general finding, not too technical, entitled Oil Palm Empty Fruit Bunch or OPEFB as ruminant feedstuff and mushroom cultivation substrate. So this presentation consists of two independent studies. One is on use of empty fruit bunch for ruminant feed, and another one empty fruit bunch for mushroom cultivation. But by end of this presentation, I will show you what are the connection between these two studies. So if you can see the picture there, that is the empty fruit shredded oil palm empty fruit bunch that I used for these studies. Okay, this is me. I'm a senior lecturer, and my education background is plant pathology, but I'm focusing on applied microbiology and as well as waste management using microbes. Okay, just a brief introduction on oil palm. So we know that we all know that oil palm is one of the most important oil producing crop, and Malaysia is producing about 26% of the world supplies lah. Okay, and of course there are many waste generated from the oil palm, and I'm not going to talk about this further. Basically, we have oil palm front, we have oil palm trunk, and then we go to the mill. We have the one of the main waste is oil palm empty fruit bunch, and we also have pome, mesocarp fiber, shell, and of course the kernel fiber. So what I'm going to focus on this for this presentation is oil palm, the use of oil palm empty fruit bunch for ruminant feed and for mushroom cultivation. Why I choose oil palm empty fruit bunch? So these are the waste generated per ton of FFB processed in the mill, and this percentage is based on fresh weight. So of course for pome it contains a lot of water, so it's consists of 62%. But we also have oil palm empty fruit bunch as one of the major waste generated in the oil palm mill. palm oil meal. Okay. So why we choose empty food bunch? So based on the fiber composition, it contains about 16.5% of lignin, 33.89% of cellulose, and 32% of hemicellulose. So for ruminant feed and for mushroom cultivation, we want less of this lignin and more of this cellulose and hemicellulose as the carbohydrate source for the fungi. Okay. So why empty food bunch? Of course, we know it's abundance in Malaysia or the palm oil producing countries like Malaysia and Indonesia. It has high lignin content, and this will cause problem for degradation. So high lignin content harder to degrade, so it will cause environmental problem and disposal problem lah. And empty fruit bunch is low cost because it is it has less economic value, okay, and it is a source of carbon for microbial decomposition. So we need carbon for microbe decomposition lah. And why I choose ruminant, because oil palm for ruminant feed, because we know that one of the major cost in ruminant production is the feed. We are depending on the imported material for feed, so we should explore alternative material that can be used as ruminant feed. So for the first study, or the first objective is to evaluate the biological delignification of oil palm empty food bunch using fungus, which I used Ganoderma lucidum to improve the rumen digestibility. So these are the general methodology of the work. So I used shredded oil palm empty food bunch, do this sterilization process, incubation for 12 weeks, and I check the lignocellulosic or the fiber composition and in vitro digestibility. So based on the finding, so these are the three fiber composition: lignin, cellulose, and hemicellulose. So after biological delignification using Ganoderma lucidum, the lignin content reduced by 41%, but at the same time, the cellulose was reduced by 20% and hemicellulose was reduced by 27%. So as I mentioned earlier, for feed and for mushroom cultivation, we want less of this lignin, but higher cellulose and hemicellulose. But when we do biological delignification using this fungi, of course the lignin was reduced, but at the same time with the cost of reduction in the cellulose and hemicellulose. But when we see the value here, the reduction in lignin is 41%, but the reduction in cellulose and hemicellulose is just by 20 and 27, which is half than the lignin lah. Okay, so that means slower the degradation of lignin was faster compared to lignin and hemicellulose. So this is observation under scanning electron microscope. The control was untreated empty food bunch, and another one is the treated empty food bunch. So we can see here the after treatment, the silica bodies were removed, and we can see the ruptured of the fiber, and we can see strands of mycelia on the empty fruit bunch. In terms of digestibility, okay, so after treatment, the in vitro rumen digestibility was improved by 104%, which was more than double lah. And the in vitro, the first one is in vitro dry matter digestibility, improved by 104%, and the second one is in vitro organic matter digestibility, which was improved by 96%. So this improvement in vitro digestibility can be related to reduction in lignin content of the oil palm empty fruit bunch. Okay, so that was the first study, and another study was on the use of oil palm empty fruit bunch for mushroom cultivation. Okay, so, and this is the procedure. Actually, in this study, I used a combination of oil palm empty fruit bunch, wood sawdust, and sugarcane bagasse lah. And this formulation was decided using a mixture MDRSM. MDRSM is a response. What is the full name? I forgot. This is mixture design response surface meteorology, MDRSM. It is a statistical method lah, or the experimental design. Okay, and do this inoculation, incubation, and we evaluated the growth and yield of the mushroom. So this is the design lah. Okay, so using the three materials: oil palm empty fruit bunch, wood sawdust, and sugarcane. So the component is x1 plus x2 plus x3, which will be equal to 100% lah, which means wood sawdust plus sugarcane plus oil palm empty fruit bunch, the composition must be 100%, and the number of formulation is based on n equals to 2 power of q minus 1. The q was the number of number of component lah. So this study has 3 component. So 2 times 2 power of 3 minus 1 will give you 7 formulation here lah. But we also add another 4 formulation. Another 4 treatment or formulation as internal replication lah. Okay, so these are the findings lah, the growth and yield of the mushroom, but not this just a normal one-way ANOVA, so nothing much we can see here. But the most important part is this finding lah, based on the MDRSM. So we can see here the highest fresh weight of the mushroom can be achieved using 50% of wood sawdust, 50% of sugarcane bagasse, and 50% of oil palm empty fruit bunch. So we will get the highest yield in terms of fresh weight lah. However, for in terms of dry weight, you can see here the highest dry weight can be achieved when we use 100% of oil palm empty fruit bunch here, and the lowest dry weight when we use 50% of wood sawdust and 50% of sugarcane. So from here we can see the potential of oil palm empty fruit bunch for ruminant feed and of course for mushroom cultivation. So based on that finding, I came out with this concept. It's just a concept. I don't know whether this concept can work or not, but yeah, so the name is concept. So firstly, we know that we have a lot of oil palm plantation, and this plantation produce a lot of fresh fruit bunch, and this fresh fruit bunch is sent to the mill for extraction to produce palm oil. And from this processing, we generated empty fruit bunch as one of the waste. And this empty fruit bunch can be utilized for cultivation of mushroom lah. There are two benefits from this. Firstly, of course, we get the mushroom lah, okay. And the second one is the mushroom spent. The lignin in the mushroom spent can be reduced, okay. So after the biological delignification of the mushroom spent, we can process this spent to produce TMR. TMR is total mixed ration lah, which consists of various component of food lah. So this empty food bunch alone cannot support the feed requirement of the ruminant. So we have to mix this oil palm, this degraded empty fruit bunch with other materials, so it will become a balanced diet for the ruminant. So we can feed this oil palm empty fruit bunch based feed to the ruminant lah. And I'm not sure whether this ruminant also can be integrated in a oil palm plantation. So we have a complete loop here lah. So that's all from me. Very short presentation, and I'm welcome for any question. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Muhammad Rakib, for your very good presentation. And we have about 1 minute left. Do you have any questions to ask?
I have one question, yeah.
Yes, Dr. Pushpa.
Just now, Dr. Rakib has mentioned that producing the wet weight and the dry weight. So is that the weight of the mushroom, and why is it there's a difference?
You mean the difference in fresh and dry weight of the mushroom?
Yes, correct. I think
okay.
It's proportional differently. It's not.
Yes. Yes, very true. Of course, for marketing, we prefer the fresh weight lah. Higher fresh weight means higher ni lah apa ni? We sell the mushroom in fresh weight lah, but in terms of dry weight, which represent the dry mass of the mushroom, it is higher when we use 100% oil palm empty fruit bunch. So the difference is because the mushroom produced from oil palm empty fruit bunch contain less water, but in terms of biomass, it is higher lah compared to other formulation. So that is a difference. So that means the mushroom grown on 100% oil palm empty fruit bunch is more drier lah.
So drier. So when you are cultivating the mushroom, so you would already target to sell it as a wet or mushroom, or as a dry mushroom. So you need to have a different composition of the base to grow the mushroom.
Yes.
Am I getting it right?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Very true. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other
Thanks
questions?
for the question.
Any other questions for Dr. Muhammad Rakib? Okay, if not, we've actually kept to time, and we thank you for all. I'd like to thank all the speakers for their contribution and also for helping us to keep to time. So now it's the end of the morning session. We have a lunch break. So I'm asked to inform you that you do not need to leave the Zoom. Okay, you can actually just silence yourself and go and have your lunch and join us back. please join us back at 12:55 p.m. so that the afternoon session after lunch can start promptly at 1 o'clock. Okay, so please don't log off. Still stay online. You're going to have your lunch and rejoin us. Thank you so much for being such good participants, and hope to see you all again. Stay safe. Bye for now. Dr. Pushpa, anything to add?
No, I think that's all. They have to just come back later on.
Okay, thank you. Enjoy your lunch.
See y'all.